Very good morning, students. So once again we are back to the class. In today's session you are going to learn a few things about Sophie and BFG. But before we get into the class, I would like to tell you what are you going to learn by the end of this session. The first one, you are going to see what has the BFG called that is frightening him. And the second one, there is a sentence that is, it is all three riddled into one. You will come to know the meaning of this sentence. And the third question, what is visible to Sophie and why? So, pay attention children. By the end of the session, you come to know the answers of this question. So, why to wait? Let us get into the session. So children, in the last class we have seen BFG caught Troggle Humper in a empty glass jar. Now, let us see what is he going to do with a Troggle Humper. So please turn to page number 4 and look at the first paragraph of this page. I is never, never letting it go, the BFG cried. If I do, then some little toddler will be having the most curd-bledling time. This one is a real kicksy bog thumper. I is exploding it as soon as I get home. So children, here there are some new words. Please look at the words. Curd-bledling means terrifying. Kicksy means restless and uneasy. Bog thumper means bad dream. And exploding means blasting. So here in this paragraph, the BFG said that he would not let the nightmare, here nightmare is nothing but bog thumper, that is a bad dream, to go. As if he did so, the little toddlers would get terrified. Because of this reason, he didn't want to blow it into the ears of little toddler when they sleep. And at the same time, he also added he would like to explode. Explode means blast. He would like to blast it as soon as he reaches his house. Here it means once again bog thumper. That means a bad dream or a nightmare. Students, would you like to know the reaction of Sophie? Then why to wait? Let's see this paragraph. Nightmares are horrible, Sophie said. I had one once and I woke up sweating all over. With this one, you would be waking up screaming all over, the PFG said. This one would make your teeth stand on end. If this one got into you, your blood would be freezing to icicles and your skin would go creeping across the floor. Okay, let us see the new word. Icicles. Icicles means a hanging piece of ice formed by the freezing of dripping water. So, Sophie, when she saw this nightmare, or else a bog thumper, she said like this. Once she had a nightmare where she woke up sweating all over. For this, BFG told her that the nightmare which he caught was even more worse than that she had. When Sophie heard this, she was totally shocked to hear. And BFG also told that if at all, if that bog thumper would enter her or if she would get that as a nightmare, her teeth would stand on end. Her blood would be freezing to icicles and her skin would go creeping across the floor. All these expressions tells that she would get frightened if at all she would get that nightmare. Children, let us see next paragraphs. Is it as bad as that? It's worse, cried the BFG. This is the real whoopsie grop switcher. You said it was a troggle humper? Sophie told him. Now let us see a few new words of this paragraphs. Here, grop switcher means nothing. Once again, it is a bad dream. And coming to whoopsie, whoopsie means it's a blender. So when Sophie saw this, she started asking, is it as bad as that? BFG told in a different negative way. So immediately Sophie asked him, is that so? The answer, the reply for this, BFG told that it was worse. And not only that, he also told that it was a real whoopsie grop switcher, means it was a blender, bad dream. And immediately Sophie said, you said that it was a troggle humper. Sophie asked him, you told that it was a troggle humper. Children, once again I'm telling, troggle humper, grop switcher, bog thumper, all are bad dreams. This bad dream got these three words. Let us see the reply given by BFG to Sophie. It is a troggle humper, cried the exasperated BFG. But it is also a bog thumper and a grop switcher. It is all three riddled into one. Oh, I is so glad. I is clutching it tight. Ha, you wicked beastie, you, he cried, holding up the jar and staring into it. Never more is you going to be bung doodling the poor little human beanie thoughtless. So children, here once again I'm telling it is a different language of our author, as I told you before itself. The author has used goggle funk language. So here when you see the words are like this, oh, I is so glad, actually it is I am so glad, I am clutching it. But according to Gobble Funk, he used this language. So, exasperated means very annoyed. Bunk doodling means bother. Let us see the explanation part of this. BFG caught the troggle humper. So, once again, I am telling troggle humper, bog thumper, grop switcher. All the three words give the same meaning, that is a bad dream, which means a nightmare. So our BFG caught this nightmare in an empty glass jar. He transferred that into an empty glass jar. After catching this, he felt so happy. He just clutched it tight. Here it means once again the empty glass jar in which a troggle humper or a bog thumper or a grop switcher, which means a nightmare. He just caught it and transferred into that, and he was holding that glass jar very tightly. And after holding that, he felt so happy because that troggle humper, that means a nightmare, which was caught by our BFG, it was inside the jar. And he said, this troggle humper would not worry the little children because at that time that nightmare was under the control of BFG. Because of this reason, he felt so happy. When GFG was giving the explanation of the nightmares, Sophie started staring into the glass. Let us see what Sophie is going to ask BFG. Sophie, who was also staring into the glass jar, cried out, I can see it. There is something in there. Of course, there is something in there, the BFG said. You is looking at a frightsome troggle humper. But you told me dreams are invisible. So here the conversation between Sophie and BFG. So when Sophie started staring into the glass jar, she also could see something. What is that something? Yes, you're right, children. That something is a nightmare. That is a troggle humper. So here Sophie said, I could see. Here Sophie said that she could see something in the glass jar. Then the BFG said that it was a frightsome troggle humper. Then Sophie told that she could see the dreams which were actually invisible. This is the reply given by BFG to Sophie. Let us see this paragraph. They is always invisible until they is captured, the BFG told her. After that, they is losing a little of their invisibility. V is seeing this one very clearly. Inside the jar, Sophie could see the faint scarlet. outline of something that looked like a mixture between a blob of gas and a bubble of jelly. It was moving violently, thrashing against the sides of the jar and forever changing shape. So once again I'm telling children, author has used gobble funk language. That's what here we cannot see the correct grammar, that is verb subject and verb agreement here, but still we follow the same. They is always means they are always, they refers to bad dream, that is struggle humper. So here our BFG says he answered Sophie that the dreams were invisible only until they were captured, but once captured they were clearly visible. That's what the answer given to Sophie. At the same time, Sophie also saw the troggle humper moving violently, thrashing against the sides of the jar, and forever was changing the shape. And Sophie was worried the troggle humper would bash itself to bits. So Sophie was very much worried about troggle humper. Would you like to know the position of troggle humper in the glass jar? Now let us see this. It's wiggling all over the place. Sophie cried. It's fighting to get out. It will bash itself to bits. The nastier the dream, the angrier it is getting when it is in prison, the PFG said. So here, wiggling means move up and down or from side to side with small rapid movements. As I told you, this troggle humper, now it is in the glass jar and it is under the control of BFG. So it started bashing itself inside the glass. So Sophie was so scared to see this. So here Sophie started telling, oh my god, if at all, if something happens to the glass because of its movement, the glass would break into pieces and that troggle humper would come out. So when Sophie was telling like this, the BFG told the behavior of the troggle humper, it's only because of that glass jar, because here glass jar is something like a prison. So the troggle humper felt that it was inside the prison, so it became so angry and it started behaving in a very bad way. So it started beating itself inside the glass jar. So children, let us see in the next class what BFG is going to do. Is he going to continue with his dream catching or not? So now, after this, I'm going to give you a worksheet. Please do read the questions carefully and complete neatly in your classwork. So let us meet in the next class to see the conclusion part of a lesson, children. Thank you for today.